Welcome to our channel where we bring you the most inspiring and life-changing stories. Today, you are about to hear a story that is not just about success. It is about struggle, pain, determination, and the power of never giving up. This is the story of a young boy who had nothing. No money, no comfortable home, and not even enough food to eat. A boy who lost everything at a young age, who faced hunger, loneliness, and endless hardships, but refused to accept his fate. He walked for 2 long years, covering 470 kilometers without money, food, or shelter. He faced storms, hunger, and exhaustion, but never stopped. That boy later became the founder of one of the most powerful luxury brands in the world, Louis Vuitton. How did he do it? How did a homeless, hungry boy become the creator of a billion-dollar empire? How did he turn his pain into power and his struggles into success? Every detail in this story is true. Every challenge, every triumph, and every lesson. Watch until the end to truly understand the journey from rags to riches. Trust me, you won't regret it. This story isn't just inspiring. It's also a fantastic way to improve your English through engaging storytelling, rich vocabulary, and real-life lessons. Now, let's begin. In the year 1821, in a small village called Angers in France, a baby boy was born into a poor family. His name was Louis Vuitton. From the moment he was born, life was hard for him. His father, Xavier Vuitton, worked as a carpenter, building furniture and small wooden structures. His mother, Coron Gallard, sewed hats for local women. They worked all day, but their earnings were barely enough to buy food. Louis grew up in a tiny wooden house with a leaking roof and cold, damp floors. Winters in Angers were brutal. Snow covered the village for months and icy winds made life unbearable. There was no heating, no warm blankets, and no comfortable bed. Louis and his family had to survive with whatever little they had. Louis didn't have toys like other children or the chance to attend school. Instead, he spent his childhood helping his father in the workshop. He carried heavy wooden planks, hammered nails, and cleaned sawdust. His hands were rough, his clothes were torn, and his stomach often remained empty. But Louis was different. Even though he had nothing, he carried something rare within him, a dream. Every day, travelers passed through his village, dressed in fine clothes and carrying large wooden trunks. Louis watched them with fascination. Where were they going? What was beyond his small village? He longed to explore the world, but fate had other plans. When Louis was just 10 years old, tragedy struck. His mother fell ill, and without access to doctors or hospitals, her condition worsened. One morning, as the sun rose over the hills, she took her last breath. Louis stood silently by her grave, unable to cry. His father, broken by grief, became distant. For the first time, Louis felt utterly alone. But in that moment of despair, he made a decision. He would leave the village and chase his dreams. At the age of 13, Louis set out for Paris, a city 470 kilometers away. He had no map, no guide, and no money. Only a dream. One evening, before anyone could stop him, he packed a small bag and began walking. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he knew one thing. He couldn't give up. For 2 long years, Louis walked through forests, mountains, and rivers. Sometimes kind strangers gave him food. Other times he went to bed hungry, lying under trees, and using his bag as a pillow. Rain soaked his clothes and winter winds burned his skin, but he never turned back. Finally, after 2 years of hardship, Louis arrived in Paris. But Paris wasn't the magical place he had imagined. The city was crowded, noisy, and divided. While some people lived in luxury, others struggled to survive. Louis had no home, no family, and no money. On his first night, he slept in an abandoned cart near a bakery, shivering in the cold. Hunger forced him to wake up early the next morning. Watching well-dressed men and women buy fresh bread and croissants, his stomach twisted in pain. He needed work. Louis walked from shop to shop asking for a job, but everyone turned him away. No experience, no work, they said. Days passed, and he grew weaker, eating scraps from the market when no one was looking. But Louis refused to give up. One evening, as the sun set, Louis noticed a man struggling to carry a large wooden trunk into a shop. Without hesitation, he ran forward and helped the man lift it inside. The shop was unlike anything Louis had ever seen. Rows of beautifully crafted trunks lined the walls, some covered in leather, others decorated with brass locks and golden initials. It was a workshop, one of the finest in Paris. The owner, Monsieur Maréchal, watched Louis closely. "You're strong for a boy your size," he said. "What's your name?" "Louis Vuitton, sir," Louis replied. "What do you want?" "I want to work." Maréchal raised an eyebrow. "Can you make trunks?" "No, sir, but I can learn." The old man chuckled. "Everyone says that, but not everyone is willing to put in the effort." Louis clenched his fists. He had come too far to be rejected again. "Give me a chance," he said firmly. "I'll work harder than anyone else." After a moment of silence, Maréchal nodded. "Fine. You start tomorrow. But don't expect money yet. You work, you learn, and if you're good, we'll talk about payment." Louis started sweeping floors, fetching tools, and cleaning up after the workers. At first he didn't mind. He was grateful to have a roof over his head. But weeks turned into months and he was still doing basic tasks. He wanted to create, to build something of his own. One evening, after everyone had left, Louis stayed behind and practiced making a small wooden panel. He hammered, carved, and stitched, imitating the techniques he had observed during the day. The next morning, Maréchal noticed the piece. "Did you make this?" he asked. Louis nodded nervously. Maréchal didn't smile, but he didn't scold him either. From that day on, Louis stayed late every night, learning how to shape wood, select the best leather, and stitch with precision. Over time he became faster, more precise and more creative than the other workers. Nobles and wealthy customers began requesting him by name. "I want my trunk made by Vuitton," they said. "That boy makes the finest trunks in Paris." One day a woman entered the shop. She was elegant, wearing a luxurious silk gown and a pearl necklace, but it was her name that changed everything. Empress Eugénie, the wife of Napoleon III. She glanced around, unimpressed by the ordinary trunks lining the walls. Then her sharp eyes fell on Louis. "Are you the young craftsman they call Vuitton?" she asked. "Yes, Your Majesty," Louis replied, bowing slightly. She studied him for a moment. I need a trunk, but not just any trunk. I travel often, and traditional trunks are too heavy and impractical. I want something elegant yet functional, something no one has ever seen before. Louis's mind raced. This was his chance. He stepped forward, his hands trembling slightly. Your Majesty, what if I create a flat-topped trunk covered in waterproof canvas instead of leather? It will be light, durable, and perfect for your travels. Silence filled the room. Marechal looked at Louis as if he had lost his mind. No one had ever dared to change the traditional design of a trunk. But Empress Eugenie tilted her head, intrigued. A flat-topped trunk? Canvas instead of leather? That's interesting. Can you do it? Louis's heart pounded. Yes, Your Majesty, I will create a trunk unlike any other. For weeks, Louis worked day and night. He designed a lightweight frame using poplar wood, replaced the rounded top with a flat surface, and experimented with a waterproof canvas fabric. When the final piece was ready, it was breathtaking. The canvas shimmered under the light, smooth and elegant. The brass locks gleamed, securing the trunk tightly. The craftsmanship was flawless. On the day of the presentation, Louis stood in the grand hall of the Empress's palace, his heart pounding. Nobles and high-ranking officials whispered as they glanced at him, unimpressed by the young craftsman in simple clothes. The Empress entered, her gown flowing behind her like water. She inspected the trunk carefully, running her fingers over the smooth canvas. Finally, she looked at Louis. This is extraordinary. Murmurs spread through the room. Marechal, who had once doubted Louis, stared in shock. From that day on, Louis became the Empress's personal trunk maker. His reputation soared and orders poured in from aristocrats, politicians, and wealthy travelers. But Louis wasn't content to remain just a worker. He left Marechal's workshop and started his own business, renting a small space in Paris. With relentless determination, he built an empire that would stand the test of time. Louis faced many challenges along the way. Wars broke out, businesses collapsed, and fake copies of his designs flooded the market. But Louis kept innovating. He introduced new products, expanded into international markets, and protected his brand with special security features. His son Georges Vuitton took over the business and continued to grow it. Later, under the leadership of Henri Recamier and Bernard Arnault, Louis Vuitton became part of LVMH, the largest luxury group in the world. Even today, Louis Vuitton remains a symbol of excellence, exclusivity, and timeless elegance. From a poor boy in a small village to the founder of the world's most luxurious brand, Louis proved that hard work and creativity can overcome any obstacle. So, what inspires you to keep pushing forward in your own journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and that's it for today's story. I hope you found this tale of Louis Vuitton inspiring and helpful for improving your English. Remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It's built step by step, like planting a seed and nurturing it into a mighty tree. Keep dreaming, keep working, and let your voice be heard. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need inspiration, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories and tips. Until next time, keep striving, keep smiling, and let your dreams guide you. See you soon.